Hello and good afternoon, everybody, to all the students. So it's a cold and rainy afternoon, so hopefully all of you are ready to begin our class for today. All right, so first thing first, let me give you a bit of introduction of what you're to expect for the next 1 hour. So first thing first, please do get ready your pen, pencil, your stationery basically, and exercise books in front of you. There will be some notes for you to jot down, so therefore get those things ready. Number 2, please do be polite to each other. So I've noticed in the text comment right now, you guys have been really well behaved with a lot of hello, hi, good afternoon to each other. So that's acceptable. Very polite to each other, so that's good. Please do keep it that way. Number 3, you all are allowed to ask questions. And you can ask question in the text comment. Number 4, so all of you must fill in the attendance at the end of the class. So the attendance link will be given in the last slide. So please don't go anywhere. Stay until the very end and then fill in the attendance. The attendance then will be distributed back to your school so that your teachers will know who actually attended today's classroom. So remember, attendance is very important. You must fill in a form at the end of this class. For teachers who are participating in this class, teachers are free to fill in the attendance too. And I will actually count you guys in as PLC in SPL KPM. And the last one, if you want to know about all the latest online classes that the Sarikei people actually do or did, you can subscribe the channel. Do you see in the YouTube, you will see USTP PPD Sarikei. Click subscribe and you will see a lot of online classes, Sejarah, BM, and the primary school science, BM, maths. You see a lot of videos about online classes that are being done by Sarikei teachers themselves. So if you want to learn more, you can actually go and visit those videos anytime you like. So do click subscribe and you will be updated with all the things that you need to know. Before I pass the mic to your teacher, Madam Ting, I'm sorry that I forgot to introduce myself. So I'm Madam Bridget. So I will be with you guys and I'll try to answer your question in the text comment while your two teachers will be presenting their knowledge to all of you. This class is organized by PPD Sarikei and SMK TINGGI to all the secondary school in Sarikei. We are really, really honored that we can invite Madam Ting and Mr. Muhammad Hafiz, who are very well known for being very experienced in English. So they wanted to share about active and passive sentences to all of you today. So without wasting any more time, we give our hands to the first presenter of today, Madam Ting, to start the ball rolling. So Madam Ting, please. All right, I'm so sorry, Madam Ting, to interrupt, but can you please go back to the first slide, because I think you forgot to unmute your mic, so basically we have not heard anything. So go back to, go back to the first slide and then unmute your mic, and then we will start from the very beginning. So, Madam Tin, have you unmute your mic? Because right now here I'm still seeing that your mic has been mute. All right, I'm so sorry, Madam Tin, to interrupt, but can you please go back? All right, good.
Okay, everyone. So let's start again. So an active voice is when the subject, the doer, is performing the action. It generally begins with the doer of the action, which is the subject, plus the verb, then the object or person, which is the receiver of the action. For example, David eats the apple. So David is the person who performs the action, which is the subject. It is an action, verb, and the apple is the thing receiving the action. We call it object. So this is an active voice. The next example, John hits the ball. John, the subject, performs the action described by the word hit. The ball is the object. So in other words, John is doing something. He is active, so it's an active voice. Basically, active voice is when a subject does an action to an object. Okay? So next, what is passive voice? Passive voice is when the subject of the sentence is being acted upon by a verb, which means the subject is receiving the verb. In passive voice, we want to emphasize the action, which is the verb, and the object of a sentence, rather than the subject. The subject is no longer so important. This is the active voice that I showed you just now. We focus on the action and the object. So when the apple becomes the subject, and then verb will remain in the same position. And David becomes the doer, which is not so important. So we put it at the back. So in passive voice, the sentence should be, the apple is eaten by David. The next example, the ball is kicked by John. So the subject is the ball. The verb or action is kick. Now ask yourself, did the subject perform the verb? No, it didn't. So the ball did not do anything. It was passive. It's only receiving the action, which is kick. As you can see, both active and passive voice make sense of their own specific situations, and both are grammatically correct. In some disciplines, passive voice is often preferred. For example, in scientific discipline, when you are writing your experiment reports, we prefer passive voice because it puts emphasis on what was done rather than who did it. For example, if you look at this picture, one could say 50 milliliter water was poured into the beaker. So the subject is water and the action is was poured. So in this situation, it doesn't matter who did the action. So we leave the doer out of the sentence. Remember, not all the verbs take an object. Some sentences are complete without an object. For example, Ali slept well. So the idea of this sentence is complete without any object. Another example, Ali lives far away. These types of sentences cannot be changed into passive voice. Okay? Because it makes sense without any object. Do you understand? Now let's do a simple quiz here. Number 1, we use active voice when the subject is performing the action. So, is it true or false? So the answer is true. Okay. Number 2, the novel was read by Mary in one day. So what is your answer? Is it an active voice or passive voice? Okay, so the answer is passive voice. So the word novel is the subject, which is the receiver of the action. The novel itself doesn't do anything, but the action, read, is done to the novel. So Mary is a doer. So it's a passive voice. Okay. Now, let's have a look at when we use passive voice. Number 1, when we do not know who did the action, or when we do not need to say who did the action. Someone stole the car. So in this sentence, we don't know who stole the car. So we use passive voice. So the passive sentence is, the car was stolen. Like I have mentioned just now, in science report, we don't need to say who did the action. So we use passive voice. Okay. Number 2, when the reader or listener has already known who the subject is, because it is the person who usually does it. For example, the cleaner cleaned the house. As we all know, the house cleaner cleans a house. So we use passive voice. So the passive sentence is, the house was clean. Let's have a look at how we formulate a passive sentence. There are 3 steps. First, put the object at the beginning of the sentence. Second, insert the verb to be in the same tense as the active sentence. Lastly, put the main verb in past participle form. For example, the active sentence is, I do my homework. So what you are going to do is get rid of the subject. Put the object at the beginning of your sentence. Insert the verb to be in the present simple tense is. Put the main verb do in its participle form, done. So the passive sentence is, my homework is done. Now let's look at another example. So the passive sentence is, the active sentence is, she is making a cake. To change it into passive voice, first, get rid of the subject. Put the object at the beginning. If you look at the tense, it is present continuous. So insert the verb to be in the present continuous tense. Is being. And lastly, change the main verb to participle, made. So the sentence is, a cake is being made. Isn't it easy? Let's look at the extra notes here. Note number 1. If you want to mention the subject, use by. For example, Jimmy sent the letter. So if you want people to know that Jimmy was the one who sent the letter, use by. So the sentence would be, the letter was sent by Jimmy. Another example, Mary sponsored the education of many students. So if you want people to know that Mary was the one who sponsored the education, so you write it in this way. The education of many students was sponsored by Mary. All right. Next, note number 2. If there is a preposition between the verb and the object, the preposition will remain after the verb. For example, they talk about the incident. So the verb is talk. Object is that incident. And the preposition about is between the verb and the object. So when it is in passive voice, it should be like this. That incident was talked about. So the preposition about still remains after the verb talk. Now, take out your pen and copy down this table while listening to me. Let's have a look at passive voice of different tenses. Okay, so if it is in present simple, the boys eat the pie. In passive voice, it should be, the pie is eaten by the boys. Present continuous, the boys are eating the pie. The pie is being eaten by the boys. Present perfect, the boys have eaten the pie. The pie has been eaten by the boys. Past simple, the boys ate the pie. The pie was eaten by the boys. Past continuous, the boys were eating the pie. The pie was being eaten by the boys. Past perfect, The boys had eaten the pie. The pie had been eaten by the boys. Future simple. The boys will eat the pie. In passive, the pie will be eaten by the boys. Future continuous. The boys are going to eat the pie. The pie is going to be eaten by the boys. Future perfect. The boys will have eaten the pie. In passive, the pie will have been eaten by the boys. So I give you 1 minute to finish copying this table. Okay, so I assume that you have finished copying the notes here. So it's time to give you a small test here. Look at the 2 questions. What's the answer? Number 1, the portrait by my grandmother. So what's the answer? Alright, the answer is C, was painted. If you choose A, painted, it means the portrait was doing the action of painting the grandmother. It's wrong. So as B, has painted, means the portrait was doing the action in present perfect tense. It's wrong. So the answer is C. Because we all know that portrait can't do anything. Some actions must be done to it. So it's a passive voice. All right? Number 2, they to the party. So what's the answer? The answer is B. From this sentence, we know that it is a passive voice in present perfect tense. So if you choose A is in active voice. They have invited. Invited what? The object is music. So it's wrong. Okay. C, if you choose C, the verb inviting should be in past participle. Okay. Since this sentence is a passive voice. So the answer left is B. So that's the answer. Alright, you get the answer correct? Okay, so it's time to look at some common errors that you always make. So pay attention to this. First, changing a tense to a similar tense. For example, the active sentence is, someone has stolen the diamonds. Many of you would write, the diamonds were stolen. Now notice the tense used in this sentence. Look at the verb has stolen. What tense is used? It's present perfect tense, isn't it? But the passive voice given here is in past simple. So the tenses are different in both sentences. The correct one should be the diamonds have been stolen. Okay? So pay attention to the word diamonds. Okay? It is in plural. So you have to change it to have, H-A-V-E, instead of has. Alright? Number 2, singular or plural confusion. For example, the active sentence is they are going to eat the cake. So many of you will write the cake are going to be eaten because you just copy it straight away from the active sentence. So it's wrong. The cat is singular. So the correct one should be the cat is going to be eaten. Okay. Number 3, forgetting the verb to be. For example, many tourists have visited that castle. Okay, so what you wrote is that castle has visited by many tourists. So the verb to be is missing. So let's add it. The correct one should be that castle has been visited by many tourists. Okay, so don't make this kind of errors when you are writing your sentence. Okay, so now what I want you to do is access to the link here or you scan the barcode here. Try to answer the questions in Google Forms. Okay, so I will give you 8 minutes to finish the questions, starting from now.
Hi and good afternoon, class. So, my name is Cikgu Hafiz, and then I will be taking over for the rest of the lesson. Okay, first of all, sorry for the background noises because it is raining heavily in here. Okay, so for this session, we are going to look at each of the questions that you have already answered in the link before. Okay, so let us move on. Okay, the first part of the question is, are the sentences written in active voice or passive voice? So for this part, you have to figure out whether the sentences are written in active voice or passive voice. So the first question, these cars are produced in Italy. Okay, so which one is the answer? Is the questions in active voice or is it in passive voice? A or B? Okay, the answer is B, passive voice. Okay, remember, if the subject is the receiver of the action or the verb, the sentence is in passive voice, which in this sentence, these cars here is the subject. And then we have the verb to be are here, and then followed by the main verb written in past participle, which is produce. Of course, if we look at the sentence here, the subject is actually receiving the action or the verb. Hence, the answer is B. It is in passive voice. Okay, next one. Okay, question number 2. The teacher closes the window. So, this sentence, is it an active sentence or is it a passive sentence? A or B? Okay, the answer is A. The sentence is in active voice. Right? So for active voice, if the subject is the doer, is doing the action or the verb, the sentence is in active voice. So if you look at questions number 2 here, the sentence here, the subject is the teacher. Okay, the teacher closes the window. Closes here is the verb followed by the object, which is the receiver of the action. The teacher here is doing the action of closing the window. Hence, from here we know that the answer is A. It is an active sentence. Okay, next one. Question number 3. My friend bought a new car. Okay, so for this sentence, is it in active voice or is it in passive voice? A or B? Okay, for this question, the sentence is in an active voice. It is an active sentence. The answer is A. So let us look at the structure of the sentence. We have my friend here. Okay, my friend is the subject. And then we have the verb bought. Okay, and then finally we have the object, which is the receiver of the action, a new car. From here, we know that my friend is the doer of the action. My friend bought a new car. So the sentence is an active sentence. The answer is A. Okay, for question number 4, the tiger was killed by the hunter. Okay, for this one, which one is the answer? Is it A or is it B? Okay, for this one, the answer is B. The sentence is in passive voice. Right. So remember that if the subject is the receiver of the action or the verb, the sentence is in passive voice. So if you look at the sentence number 4 here, the tiger, which is the subject, and then we have was killed by the hunter. Was here is the verb to be, and then followed by the main verb written in past participle. And after that, you need to include the word by here before you can mention about the doer. Hence, we have the tiger was killed by the hunter. The sentence is in passive voice. So moving on to the second part of the questions. Okay, for this part, you have to change the following sentences into passive voice. Okay, the first question for part number 2. Frank takes photos. Okay, you have the sentence here. So you have to change this active sentence into its passive form. Okay, so let us look at the answer first. Which one is the answer? Is it A, or is it B, or is it C? Okay, the answer is B. Photos are taken by Frank. Okay, so let us analyze the sentence first. Okay, Frank here is the subject. Okay, meaning that Frank is the doer of the verb, doer of the action. And then we also have the verb here, which is takes. And then finally, we have the object, which is the receiver of action. Hence, the active sentence is Frank takes photos. So, if we want to turn this sentence, this active sentence, into its passive form, we must follow this equation here. Okay, we need to have the subject plus the verb to be plus the main verb written in past participle, and then if you have the doer, you need to include the word by first before you can actually put the doer at the back. All right. So based on this, let us look at sentence B. Right. So for sentence B, the subject is the photos, because in a passive sentence, the subject is originally the object in the active sentence. As you can see here, in the active sentence, the photos is the object, but in the passive sentence, it becomes the subject, it becomes the receiver of the action. And then don't forget to include the correct verb to be. For this one, the verb to be is are, and then followed by the main verb written in past participle. Okay, so the main verb for this sentence is takes. For this sentence is takes, and then you have to change it into the past participle form, which is taken. Right, and finally, you need to include the doer. Frank is the doer. Right. One thing that you need to bear in mind is that always use a similar form of tense for both sentences. Okay, if you look at the active sentence here, it is in simple present. Frank takes photos. So for the passive sentence, you must use the similar form of tense. Hence, we use are taken. Okay, so it is very important for you to keep both tenses in the sentences similar. All right. So next one. Mother made a cake yesterday. Okay, so what is the passive form for this active sentence? Okay, the correct answer is C. A cake was made by mother yesterday. All right. So let us look at the sentence first, the active sentence. Mother here is the subject. Mother is the one doing the action. And then the action here is the verb made. Okay. And we finally have the object at the back, which is a cake. All right. So based on these informations that we have, we can now follow the equations here. Okay, remember that if you want to change the unactive sentence to its passive form, you need to follow this equation. Subject plus verb to be plus the main verb written in past participle, and finally followed by the doer. Okay, the answer, we all know that the answer is C. So let us look at the sentence structure for C. Okay, for C, for sentence C, the subject now is a cake. Okay, the object in the active sentence now becomes the subject in the passive sentence. And then followed by, after subject, you need to have verb to be. The verb to be for this sentence is was. And then finally followed by the main verb written in past participle, which is made. And finally, you need to have the doer for the last part of the sentence, by mother yesterday. Okay. So next one, question number 7. The boy teased the girl. Okay, for this question, the same thing, you have to change the sentence, this active sentence, into its passive form. Okay, so let us look at the answer first. Which one is the answer? Okay, the answer for this one is A. The girl was teased by the boy. Let us look at the sentence first, the active sentence. We have the boy here, which is the doer of the action, doer of the verb. And then we also have the word tease, which is the verb. And then finally, we have the girl as the object, the receiver of action. Okay. So if you want to change this active sentence into the passive form, you need to follow this equation. Subject plus verb to be plus main verb, and finally the doer. So let us look at sentence A. Okay. The girl now the girl is the subject for the sentence, because the sentence is now in passive voice. In the active sentence, the girl was originally the object. But for this sentence, because the sentence is now in passive voice, the girl is now the subject, the receiver of action. And we have the verb to be, was. Okay, the reason why we are using was here, not is because if you look at the sentence, the active sentence, it is in past tense. Okay, it is in simple past tense. So you need to use the verb to be, was. Finally, followed by the main verb written in past participle. Okay, since you have the doer here, yes, you may as well include the doer at the back, by the boy. All right. So moving on to part 3 of the questions. For this one, you have to change the sentences into their active forms. Okay, question number 8. The bag was packed by his mother. Okay, so you have to change this passive sentence into its active form. So which one is the answer? A, B, or C? Okay, the answer for this one is C. His mother packed the bag. Okay, let us look at the structure for this sentence first. Okay, question number 8. The bag here is the subject. In this case, the bag here is the receiver of action, because this is a passive sentence. Okay, and you have the verb to be, was here, and then you have the main verb written in past participle, pack, and finally you have the doer, by his mother. Don't forget the word by here if you want to mention the doer. So if you want to change the passive sentence to its active form, you need to follow this equation. Okay, subject plus main verb plus object. All right. So we know that the answer for this question is C. So let us look at sentence C. Okay. His mother here is now the subject for the sentence, because the sentence is now in active voice. His mother is the one doing the action. Okay. And then you have the main verb pack. Okay, the reason why we are using pack past tense, because if you look at the passive sentence, it is also in past tense, was packed. The word was here is an indication that the sentence is in past tense. Hence, we have the verb written in past tense here. And finally, you have the object, which is the receiver of actions. Hence, the answer is C. His mother packed the bag. Okay, next one. Question number 9. Okay, this question is a little bit complex. Okay, it is longer than the previous ones. Okay, so before we begin analyzing the questions and the answers, let us reveal first which one is the answer. Is it A or is it B or is it C? Okay, the answer for question number 9 is B. Okay, so before we begin with the explanation, okay, for this type of sentence, okay, you have two parts of the sentences here. You have the first part, everybody in town knows, and you also have the second part, the delicious coffee is sold by the young girl, Mary. Okay, for this question, we want to focus on the second part of the sentence, which is the delicious coffee is sold by the young girl, Mary. We want to change this into active voice. Okay, so let us look at the structure of the sentence. The delicious coffee here is the subject. Okay, this is the subject for the sentence. Okay, and then we have the verb to be is followed by the main verb so, with of course this is in past participle form, and then you have the young girl Mary as the doer. Okay, this one here, don't forget to use by if you want to mention the doer. So the same concept, if you want to change the sentence from passive voice to active voice, always remember to follow this equation. You need to have the subject plus the main verb plus the object. We know that the answer is B, so let us look at sentence B. Okay, since the first part of the sentence is already in active voice, okay, everybody in town knows, we can just let this one be. We want to focus on the latter part of the sentence. Okay, so the young girl, this part here, this is the subject for the sentence because the sentence is now in active voice. All right, now we have cells instead of soul. Okay, why are we using cells here? Okay, it is because if you look at the original sentence, the passive sentence, we are using is here, is soul. This is an indication that the sentence is in simple present. So you need to use cells. All right, and this is the verb, the main verb. And finally, we have the delicious coffee as the object. Hence, the answer is B. Everybody in town knows that the young girl, Mary, sells the delicious coffee. Okay, moving on to question number 10. All the letters piling in the boxes are finally delivered by him today. Okay, for this one, this sentence is in passive voice. So you need to change this sentence into its active form. So let us see which one is the answer. Is it A or is it B or is it C? So for this one, the answer is A. He finally delivers all the letters piling in the boxes today. So if we look at the sentence here, okay, the passive sentence here, all the letters piling in the boxes. This one is the subject, the receiver of the action. And we have the verb to be are here as the this is the verb to be, and then we have delivered here as the main verb. Okay. Finally, we have him as the doer for the sentence. Alright, so if we want to change passive voice to active voice, again, you have to follow this equation. Okay, we know that the answer is A, so let us look at the structure for sentence A. He here is now the subject of the action. Okay, it's subject for the sentence, right? Because in the original sentence, we have him here as the doer. Okay, for the active sentence, you need to have the one doing the verb at the beginning of the sentence. So you can just bring him here to the beginning of the sentence and you change it to he, because we want to change the sentence into active voice. Because for an active voice, the subject is the one doing the action, okay, not the one receiving the action. And we have delivers here as the verb, okay. So we use delivers here, not delivered, because if you look at the sentence here, question number 10, the sentence at the top here, this sentence is in simple present because of the word are, because of the verb to be are. So you use delivers, okay? And finally, we have all the letters piling in the boxes. Okay, this one is the object for the sentence. Hence, we have he finally delivers all the letters piling in the boxes today. The answer is A. So moving on to the last part of the questions, part 4. For this part, you just have to fill in the blanks with the correct answers. So the first question for part number 4, question number 11. The teacher blank his parents of his mischief at school. So you have to fill in the blank here with one of these answers here. A, B, C, or D. So for question number 11, which one is the answer? The answer is actually B, has informed, right? The teacher has informed his parents of his mischief at school. Okay, this sentence is written in active voice because you have the teacher here as the subject followed by the main verb inform, okay, has informed, and then we have his parents of his mischief at school. His parents here is the object, right? So has informed here indicates that the sentence here is written in present perfect. All right. Next one. Question number 12. The panel of judges blank the results in 5 minutes. So which one is the answer? A, B, C, or D? Okay, so for this one, the answer is C, will announce. The panel of judges will announce the results in 5 minutes. If we look at the sentence here, the sentence is written in active voice. Okay, the panel of judges, this one is the subject. Okay, and then we have the main verb, which is announce, and finally we have the results as the object. Okay, will announce here, this shows that the sentence here is written in future simple. So let's say if you want to change this sentence into its passive form, you need to remember to consider this thing. You need to be able to follow. You need to be able to change it into the same type of tense. All right, so next one. Question number 13. The payment blank within the first 3 days of the month. So which one is the answer? A, B, C, or D? For this one, the answer is C, has been made. Okay, this sentence, the payment has been made within the first 3 days of the month. This sentence is written in passive voice. Alright. In a passive voice, you need to have the subject plus verb to be plus the main verb followed by the doer. Okay. So let us look at the sentence here. The subject is actually the payment. Okay. Followed by the verb to be. The verb to be for this sentence is has been. Okay. Has been. This is the verb to be. And then we need to have the main verb written in past participle form. Hence, made. Past participle for make is made. So, this answer is C. The payment has been made within the first 3 days of the month. So, question number 14. The film blank for the best movie of the year. So, which one is the answer? So, for this one, the answer is D. Is nominated. The film is nominated for the best movie of the year. So the sentence here is written in passive voice. In a passive sentence, you need to have the subject followed by the verb to be followed by the main verb. Okay, and if you have the doer, if you want to mention the doer, or if you want to mention about the doer, you need to be able to follow this thing. You need to include by followed by doer. Alright. So the answer is D. The film is nominated for the best movie of the year. Is nominated here indicates that the sentence is written in present simple. Alright. Question number 15. The band plays the national anthem as the flag blank. So which one is the answer? A, B, C, or D? So for this one, the answer is D. Okay. Okay, for this part, for this sentence, there are two parts to this sentence. Okay, the first part is the band plays the national anthem. Okay, this is the first part. And then the second part is as the flag is being raised. All right. So we want to look at the second part of the sentence. Okay. For the second part of the sentence, the sentence is written in passive voice. And the subject is actually the flag. Okay. The flag. This is the subject for the second part of the sentence. And then you need to have the verb to be. So the verb to be for this sentence as the flag is being raised is this one. Is being. Okay, this is the verb to be. Okay, and finally, you need to have the main verb written in past participle. Hence, the answer is D. The band plays the national anthem as the flag is being raised. Is being raised here shows us that the sentence is written in present continuous. Okay, question number 16. The room blank under the name of John Lennon. So which one is the answer? A, B, C, or D? For this sentence, the answer is D, was registered. So this sentence, the room was registered under the name of John Lennon. This sentence is written in passive voice. Alright, so you have the subject. The subject for the sentence is the room. And you have verb to be. Okay, verb to be followed by the main verb written in past participle. So the verb to be for this sentence is was, and then registered here is the main verb written in past participle. Okay, so but for this sentence there is no doer, so you just let it be. Alright, was registered here shows us that the sentence is in past simple. So bear in mind that if you want to change the sentence into its active form, please take this into consideration. Make sure you use the similar form of tense. So question number 17. Okay, this is a very simple sentence. The dog blank the man. So which one is the answer? A, B, or C? So for this one, the answer is A. Okay, the dog beat the man. So this is an active sentence. Okay, the dog here is the subject, followed by the main verb beat, and then followed by the man, which is the object. Okay, beat here is in past simple. From here, we know that the sentence is in past tense. All right. So question number 18. I blank to leave the room. Okay, we have three options here, A, B, or C. So which one is the answer?
All right, students, so I think Cikgu Hafiz lost the line, must be due to the heavy rain outside. By the way, the previous answer was actually C. I was told to leave the room. I noticed a lot of students actually pick A. I told to leave the room is actually wrong. I was told. So yeah, the answer is actually C instead of A or B that a lot of you actually pick. All right, so before while we are waiting, we see whether we can actually get Cikgu Hafiz back for the remaining of the two questions. But if we can't, it's all right. You guys can actually go and fill in the attendance form first. The attendance form, I don't have the slide with me, but I can actually share it in the link now. So you can actually check your YouTube comments there and go to the form and fill in your details. And we will see whether we'll be able to get Cikgu Hafiz back. Right. So fill in your details first, fill in your attendance.
Until which part did I stop just now?
Question 18.
Question 18. All right. Sorry, connection. I got disconnected.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay, so sorry for the disconnection. So let us continue our lecture today. Question number 18. So we
Cikgu Hafiz,
blank
where's the slide?
to leave the room. Okay. So for this sentence, which one is the answer? Question number 18. Is it?
Cikgu Hafiz,
Oh, no kah?
the slide. Yeah, I don't have.
Alright, right. Wait, eh? Okay. Alright, right. Do you have? Can you see my slides now?
Yep.
Alright. So okay. So next part. Alright. So question number 18. I blank leave the room. So for this one, you have to choose the answers A, B, or C. So which one is the correct answer? So the correct answer is actually C. I was told to leave the room. So this sentence is written in passive voice. Okay. So we have the subject. The subject here is I, followed by the verb to be, was, and then finally we have the main verb, told. Okay. Told here is written in past participle. Okay. I was told to leave the room. Was told here indicates that the sentence is in past simple. So if you want to change the sentence into active voice, you need to take this into consideration. Okay, make sure that you are using the correct form of tenses. All right. So next one, question number 19. Please command A, B, or C. Which one is the answer? So for this one, the correct answer is actually B. His command was promptly obeyed. All right. So remember that for a passive sentence, this sentence is written in passive voice. His command was promptly obeyed. So for a passive sentence, you need to have the subject followed by the verb to be, followed by the main verb, and then if you have the doer, you may mention the doer at the last part of the sentence. But for this sentence, his command here is the subject. Okay, and then we have was promptly obeyed. The word was here is the main verb, and the word was here is the verb to be, and then obeyed here is the main verb written in the correct form of past participle. Okay, was promptly obeyed here indicates that this sentence is written in past simple. It is a passive sentence written in past simple. All right. So on to the last questions for today. Everybody blank with me. A, B, or C? Which one is the answer? So for this part, the correct answer is A, agrees. Alright? Everybody agrees with me. So this sentence is written in active voice. Okay, so we have subject plus main verb plus object. Everybody here is a subject plus the main verb, which is agrees. And finally, we have the object with me. Hence, we have everybody agrees with me. The sentence is an active sentence written in present simple tense. So for the conclusion, if you want to write an active sentence, you need to have the subject as the doer for the sentence, meaning that the subject has to be the one performing the action. You need to have the subject plus the main verb, and finally, you need to have the object as the receiver of action. So, next one, for passive voice, okay, if you want to write a sentence in passive voice, you need to have the subject as the one being acted upon by the verb, meaning that the subject is the one receiving the verb. We need to have the subject as the receiver of action plus the main verb, and you also need to include the correct form of verb to be before the main verb, and the main verb must be written in past participle form. And finally, if you want to mention about the doer, don't forget to use the word by. Alright? So that was the end for today's lesson. So if you have any questions, you can email us. We have our email on the screen. All right. You can also ask your own English teachers. And then, so I would like to say thank you for joining me and Cikgu Ting Ying Ying in this class. And thank you for my school principal, Cikgu Ting Sin Tek, and my fellow English teachers, especially Cikgu Ting Ying Ying, for giving me this opportunity. All right. Lastly, on behalf of SMK TINGGI SARIKEI, I would like to wish you Selamat Hari Raya, Aidilfitri, and Selamat Hari Gawai. But before you go, I need you to help me to fill in this attendance form. Okay? So stay safe. Thank you. Hello?
All right, thank you, Cikgu Hafiz, Madam Ting. Cikgu Hafiz, would you mind just, leaving that screen on until we actually go offline, all right? So thank you very much to the two of you. It's a wonderful sharing. Thank you to all the students for being here. So all right, so now all that's left for you to do is to actually fill in the attendance, and I'll see you guys again for the next online class if we do have one. All right, so thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here, especially Madam Ting and Cikgu Hafiz. Good job, you guys. Good job.